My point for ugly, because actually there's a lot of ways we can go with this one. I've just put poizon being, I presume, cut from complexity. Now, the reason I say I presume cut is because if you look how long he was there, I think they said something like he was there for 21 months or something. That would be a very weird contract, a 21-month contract. 2, they just failed to make the major. That's when people get cut. And then 3, they've released him and he's a free agent. Now, that sounds to me, by the way, like, listen, bad news is I have to cut you. Good news, I'll make sure there's no buyout. And, you did a good job with the orgs, so you can just go out free. Now, the reason I say this is my ugly point, I don't put it as bad, is because I actually did think through a bunch of the complexities period, poizon was a problem. Like, I remember the style of when they came on LAN and they broke it. Oh my God. I even remember saying to people, listen, if he can maintain that AWPing style and be good, you are aware he's just a top 5 AWPer in the entire world. Like, he was so aggressive. He was just reaming people out with instant flicks. He was fucking wrecking Astralis, dude. Like, I remember thinking, there's no way this is legit. And he's one of those guys he was just too good in tier 2, but I don't think he ever truly was like a true superstar elite AWPer. So I know I actually didn't have a bad few months leading up to now, and he had certain periods where he looked good, but I always thought he didn't really like fit the team in some sense. I didn't think he was quite good enough. So as sad as it is, I do think he should be cut, but sort of the weight and the timing, like if anything, he wasn't even the worst player at the moment. Like he actually was in a bit of a renaissance in form, and I do think as well, if you know some of the fuckery that was going on behind the scenes, where like Cole could have been one of these teams that got Astralis players, or maybe Config stay, I get the feeling, unfortunately, he was just a victim of the fact that they're now having to make these mad triage decisions, and they've obviously gambled on other players, and basically he's just the guy who has to go. It's just he's the only person sort of in the crosshairs. So I just think it's a bit ugly the way it sort of all worked out for everyone involved there.
It coincides pretty neatly with coldzera joining the roster, and there was that famous Cold line. When he's talking to Fallen in a clutch, he says if noobs always peak. I mean, he's talking about poizon. Like that's just literally. That's why poizon's gone. Like poizon just always had to peak. Like during the tier 2 like online cups that they were playing in, he would just jump through smokes and just op people. Like it was the least sustainable style ever. It was just serious. It was seriously like if you miss shots, you're just gonna die. And he started missing and he started dying predictably. Yes. So it was never. It was not going to like if there were an OG complexity mismatch kind of thing, I think I'd love to see where that goes, because both of those teams did make the major, and I think that you can make a really solid roster with those pieces.
Thoughts, Tommy?
That's interesting. So I don't know why he was cut. I mean, I've heard some things that I'm not gonna elaborate on. But like I do think it's the opposite of ugly here is that he actually seems to have just gotten out. Like you said, like I don't think there's any chance that he was like a 21-month contract. I don't think so. So like it seems like he was at least able to get out immediately and just basically look for a new team. So for him, like could it actually be a better timing? The major's going to be over in some number of weeks, and like in 2 months at the very latest, there's going to be massive shuffle. So you would think there would be some place for him to go. The gold thing, I think, is it's an interesting thing. Presumably, I mean, he did say that like he's not signed long term. It's like a short term thing. Presumably, his number one priority will just be like winning. He just wants to have a competitive roster. So if he thinks that there's players who are longer time horizon away, need more time to develop, etc., I would guess that he's always going to be on the side of like, let's just get the more like experienced people, which is probably why they tried Dallo in that qualifier, for example. Obviously he hasn't played in a while, so play was what it was, but I guess that's really it. The OG Cole sort of roster merger, I think, would actually be interesting. I think you could build a pretty interesting roster out of that. And I recently actually was wondering whether some of the players who were at the time choosing between those two teams made the right choice or not. That I'm not sure, because I think both those teams have looked pretty good at times, but like neither has really broken through to like where they were supposed to go.
Yeah, one thing I would say, by the way, because people might think that tier 2 comment I made was weird, right? One of the reasons why anyone at tier 1 and people around that element of the scene for a long time are always incredibly skeptical of really aggressive, super strong mechanical players when they come to tier 1 is because that is the least fucking reliable playing style you can have. Like, do you really think Device actually just wants to be like passive at times and just No, he knows, by the way, he gets murked if he just 24/7 peeks the corner like old school Henny. Like that, you have to be simple Ozimu to do that. Like it's almost impossible to get away with that constantly. You have to be a superhuman.
If you read the body language of players like Device when he goes for 2 repeaks and gets 3 kills, it's just like he's literally laughing in his chair because he knows how stupid that was.
Exactly.
Like, if he plays the same round and he just gets like 1 kill, falls back, gets another kill, falls back, gets a third, he's not smiling. He's not happy about that. He's just like, I just played optimally.
He just did his job.
I just did my job.
It's like the thing when we talked about like when people play anti-ecos, but back when anti-ecos used to exist before they killed the economy altogether.
Yeah.
Like people used to play them fast and not clear things with mollies, etc. And like I would say, like it's because it's more fun. Like people enjoy playing that. Where like, why would somebody do it? Because it's more fun. They're playing for millions of dollars. I'm like, well, because they're people, and like I'm just telling you that's why they're doing it. And
it shows
it's
like
the
exact
work. Same thing. Like it's much more fun to play like just like re-peeking and like going for things that it is to like just hold a corner for a minute, even if that ends up with you winning.
Like I'll give you 2 quick.
Doesn't want to do that.
I'll give you 2 quick examples. Like one is, there's that story that people on Reddit always use as a way to trash the G2 players, mainly like Shock's, KDS existence. The story where like they could have had Ziwu like, 6 months earlier and they didn't want him because supposedly a bunch of them thought he cheated, right? Anyone who thinks that's ridiculous, you haven't seen the games that he was playing. Like, if you go and watch the fucking games he was playing when he was in the Against All Authority era and winning all the FPL games, he had to be either what he is, one of the best 5 players to ever play CSGO, or he was cheating. I'm telling you right now, I saw those games and I was even messaging pros like, this cannot be legit, right? And they were just telling me like, look, it does look really dodgy, but like for real, he probably is like the fucking next Prodigy or something. And then the other one, because it's a similar example of how you should be skeptical, is back in CS 1.6, there was a really great AWPer in the latter years called Delpan. And he was someone who, one, as far as I can tell, potentially was involved with actual cheating. And 2, his style also looked like, look, this guy's either for real the best AWPer in the world or he's just cheating. Like, there's no way he could be doing this. Now, it turned out, my mistake, when he went to LAN, he actually was the best AWPer in the world. He was like a top 3 AWPer. So, but the point is, you can see the point here. There's so few people ever going to make it through that fucking threshold. Realistically, the rest of them are just going to go up to tier 1, get bashed on the head like Poizon has to some degree. And I personally predict he probably won't go to a very good team. He'll go to an okay team. It might even go to one of the Bulgarian teams. There's 2 of them that are pretty decent right now. So, unfortunately, I don't think this is like, he takes a step back and then 2 steps. No, I think this is probably the last you see of him in a contender.
Well, the reason that I think you're right about him going to like a Bulgarian team is if he didn't know where he wanted to go and like that team wasn't going to pay any buyout, I think Jason Lake would have taken the money. But, like if I think the answer probably was like, listen, like I know this is not working out. Like I want to go play with my like fellow countrymen and like, but they're not going to have money for a buyout. Like that's a conversation that leads to you being released. Otherwise, like you might not at least like see if there's a market.
There's a handful of Bulgarian teams right now, actually. So the market is kind of like
good. Fiend's been good.
In terms of competitiveness, you got Fiend, you got Skade. I think there's probably a couple others that are like not in the top 30, but almost there. So like that's becoming a weirdly competitive region out of nowhere. So yeah, that'd be kind of interesting to see if he can find his form again on a roster like that.
Want to see more cool, funny, interesting clips based on topics from my content? Well, subscribe to this channel then, or, be a pleb and don't.